So on that note, I would be introducing our first speaker for today, Aderonke Ogunbaide. The GemBridge HR is an HR and administrative professional at Sub-Saharan Work-Based Limited, focused on people, culture, and building human-centered workplace. A first-class graduate of English and Literary Studies from Anchor University, Lagos. She blends empathy and strategy to bridge workplace gaps. In 2024, she was recognized as Rookie of the Year and Employee Engagement Champion for impact in driving engagement and trust at work. Through the GemBridge HR, she leads conversations on work, culture, and growth, shaping how people experience the future of work.
Good morning, I am Aderonke Ogunbaide, popularly known as the GemBridge HR. I like to shake LinkedIn once in a while. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about breaking into the workforce, and I'm going to be speaking from the HR part, like the HR sector. So let's be clear, let me just say something that might sound uncomfortable, right? Jobs are not scarce, right? Clarity is. And one of the reasons why most people are rejected is not because they are not good enough, but because they've not positioned themselves to be good enough. So it's like you want to get somewhere. You're not looking the part, or you're not acting the part there to say you want to get that part. Okay. And to be fair, nobody really explains it, back then when we were in primary school, you do your common entrance, get your WAEC, get to university, come out with good grades, and life will sort you out to get the job that you want and all. In real life, when you want to get that job, the first questions you might get to be asked is, do you have the experience? Do you have any internship roles? Did you do something like that in your previous school? Like, did you do internship and the like? So, not that you necessarily need all the experience in the world to get a job. It's just that you need to have a sense of the experience. You need to know, like, you need to have a background knowledge of what you're about to do. So, yes, not everybody has the experience, because you might want to get roles to hear 2 to 5 years experience, or if it's an internship role, which is not what you might want to go for right now because I want to get a job or something. However, internship is a platform where I advise you to go through, because it gives you a mental knowledge, gives you this recognition, because when you're going for the jobs later in life, you ask, oh, you intern at KPMG, you intern at Deloitte, I'm calling the big fours now because there are other companies, right? But it gives you this sense of credibility. Okay. So yes, it's also high time we realize that this is 2026 and internships are not just charity. Okay, internships are room for auditions. Nobody's really paying you. Maybe you have stipends or something, but they want to recognize how you show up, how you want to learn on the job, and how you handle small things. It's just like apprenticeship. For example, when here in Nigeria, apprenticeship works with, maybe you are trying to learn a trade, or you are learning a skill, if you are doing barbing, if you are doing electrician job, or for example, let's even go to the basics. People that sell rice and beans, you see them, some persons work with their bosses for 7 years. That's apprenticeship. They dedicate their life, their time, everything for 7 years. At the end of 7 years, the boss lets them go. It's more like the freedom part, lets them go, installs another shop for them and all, but it doesn't work like that in 9 to 5. What works in 9 to 5, what works in career is internship. So you can show up for like 3 months, back to back, 6 months, just gain the knowledge you need to gain. You need to have hands-on experience. See, some people have the mental knowledge. You went to school, you were taught probably insurance. I read English. I just transitioned to insurance sector. That was in 2024. So yes, someone like 20 now, my guy at work, 20 read insurance in school. He had the knowledge. He needs to put that knowledge into work. And that's what internship gives you. Internship gives you that platform, okay? So yes, in internship, you need to also know that it's a time where you build skills, you build credibility, you build visibility, and it also helps you build your CV, because if you're going for the real job later in life, your CV would already have that you interned at a company, and that gives you more credibility, gives you I say respect, but it gives you more chance. You have that leverage here. That's the word. You have that leverage to get the job at the end. So yes, so for people who want to get internships, you can use cold DMs. You can reach out to HRs. Know the kind of companies you want to work with or kind of companies you want to work for. Study their patterns. Check their posts. I'm not saying you should go for companies that are not visible. Any company that's visible should be on LinkedIn first, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I don't know who uses Facebook. I'm genz, right? I don't use it. Maybe I'll use it in June or something. But then you need to identify the problems that you also need to solve. Okay. So yes, you notice your company was not, or you notice that company was not working, or some they were not showing up online. Oh yes, I would love to fix it. You know, our generation, we are not that generation that this is how things have been working. For example, when I hear people say, why do you want to change these things? It has been this way before you joined. I'm genz. You cannot shut me up because the system is definitely ruined or it's broken. I'm here to help you fix it. It doesn't have to be sudden, it doesn't have to be that very deep, but over time, when they see your impact, it will be definitely felt, and that's how you make impact in your own space. Okay. So most importantly, during your internship, please give value, because your degree can get you in the room. Your skills, your competence, your values will keep you in the room. I take that again. Your degree can get you in the room. It's just like you got into the bus stop. You're at the bus stop. You're ever entering the bus, or you don't start on the bus. If you don't have your card or your payments, your fare to pay for that trip, conductor will ask you to come down. I'm speaking for Nigeria, for Lagos, right? We have to get down because you're more like cheating them. Do you understand? So your skills, your visibility, your credibility, your values, you really want to keep you in the room. And the thing is, we're not just looking for the perfect candidate. Like I had a series of interviews, and I interviewed this lady one time where it's the audacity for me. She was bold, she was audacious, she didn't really have the experience, but I was looking at her, I'm like, wow, okay, this is really going to be a great choice for the company. I mean, we had people with 25 years experience. She was just probably going to come in as a business development executive, but she didn't have that prior knowledge. But then I think she had positioned herself in such a way that she had gained credibility, she had gained our trust with the way she positioned herself. So if you're positioning yourself as a student to a company, you'll be treated as a student. If you're positioning yourself as a professional, you'll be perceived as a professional. So all these things that when you say you are aspiring, you are becoming, are you becoming or you become, or you are planning to become? Choose a spot. And the thing is, the words that we use also tend to define us. Because if you say you're aspiring for the past 3 to 5 years, why are you not what you want to be? So also, you also need to understand that the game is not stable anymore. So you also need to learn that in the next 5 to 10 years, you need to pick skills that will be credible, that will last in the next 5 to 10 years. Okay. So you don't just say, oh, this is what I could do, this is what I could do, I could help you with this, I could do this. You need to show workings. And if you're going to show workings, you need skills to show that you are showing workings. Okay. So what you should do now is stop waiting. If you're invisible on Google. If I'm going to hire you for anything, I'm not saying it's a good or something, but I want to know you better than you see. Because I may have interviewed you, or I just want to check you up. I type your name. I'm just saying that you have a LinkedIn account, you don't engage, you don't do anything. It's just like you're inviting me to your house. Because why is your LinkedIn URL profile, or yes, your LinkedIn link, a link to your LinkedIn there is on your CV, right? And you don't post, you don't engage, you don't share your thoughts, you don't share your wins. I'm not saying it's a must. I'm not saying you are supposed to be consistent every day. But it's just like you're inviting me to your house, and then I'm just seeing a chair and a table, cobwebs here and there. Why did you invite me if you knew that your house was not in place? So right now as a student, there are various things you're learning, and this is what I learned as a student. This is what I learned through my internship. This is what I'm learning as I had this prior knowledge, and this is what I'm learning and relearning. Share it. Just be visible, because visibility here in 2026 is new credibility. Just for example, if you're going to buy something from Instagram or from Temu, you look around for reviews, you look around for what this person has been posting. Nobody's not that this person just started selling in May and then I have to start patronizing the person in May. Maybe I'll wait for the next 2 to 3 months to gain this person's trust, because you're not just buying a product, you're also paying for the person's trust. Like, you are buying trust, you're buying credibility also. So paid internship or not, I'm a big fan of paid internship, because even if it's just stipends, let's just put it like that. Not that you're going to work like an entry-level professional, but if it's going to be internship, it should be paid for. And even if it's not, it shouldn't be a Monday to Friday thing, because you are also human and need to position yourself in such a way that you're taking care of yourself as you're learning. So yeah, stop waiting. I'll start this next time. I'll start in May. I'll start in June. We're already in May. June is fast approaching. You need to put systems in place where you are visible, because like I said, visibility is new credibility. So your CV is not enough. You need to build skills that would support your CV. Okay, people need proof. That's why sometimes I tell people, if you know you can't do something, please don't post on your CV, because I'm going to get to ask these questions. And then you're saying, it doesn't work. That you need to make sure that you're positioning yourself in such a way that you are trusted even before you get the job. Okay, apply like a person. And you need to be very intentional when applying. You need to find a problem and create a solution for them even before they get from your place. We are looking for problem solvers. We're not just looking for someone that come and warm our chairs, get paid and go home. Okay, be very direct. I'm not saying you should bombard DMs of HR and get that almost every day. Please apply thoughtfully, apply intentionally, and most definitely please pray about it. Okay, you need to build skills. Like I said, you need to upskill this 2026. If you're having any skill now, make sure there's something that's going to last for the next 5 to 10 years, because our generation, the genz, right? We need people who will take over the Gen X, the millennials, baby boomers are already in the career sector, because when they leave, it's left to us and we can't fold their hands. Do you understand? You need to build opportunities, upskill yourself. There's Udemy, there's Coursera, there's YouTube, a lot of platforms for you to learn. Okay, then AI. I understand AI is the new thing, is in vogue right now. But AI should not replace your sense. Sorry for saying it that way, because let me just refurbish it. You could have the idea. AI should not be the one giving you 98% of your reasoning. You are human for gossip. AI was made to polish your thoughts, not invent your thoughts. Okay, so use it to your own advantage and not make people feel, or not make people make you feel like if AI is not in existence, it's not helping. Do you understand? So yes, you also need to learn how to communicate better, adaptability. If you know you cannot do hybrid roles, or for example, if I'm going to take the next offer, I would like to do hybrid because I don't really like this jumping from bus and all. But if you know it's something that, for example, you're a Nepo baby, you're soft, if you cannot survive jumping buses 9 to 5, please go for hybrid modes. Maybe you go to work Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, because you need to build a system where you're not just learning, you're also thriving and not surviving. Survival is not the linear way to use it, like I said. Most importantly, be visible and make sure that as you're being visible, you're providing solutions to problems. Like for me right now, with my LinkedIn page and my other social media platforms, I provide solutions to people and culture problems, toxic work culture, people problems. I provide solutions to them. So yes, we need a rising generation who have game-changing ideas, and I believe we all have said. You can also reach out to me to learn more few things, but the world is yours. Just prepare, sit back. The all I've said, try to work with them and build for yourself, not just for the job. Build for yourself, because you need to create a system where your skills, your CV will speak far better even when you are not in space. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
I hope you actually took note, because I, for one, actually got a lot. So she said, make impact, give value. You can use the chat box to reiterate what she said. She said, make impact, give value. Degree, there was one thing she said. She said, degree skills can get you into the room. but it's actually the value and the skills that you learn in the job that would keep you there. So they might be looking for the perfect candidate, but that one also struck me, audacity. So you don't need to be shaking, like you just literally heard from the HR's mouth. Go for an interview. These people are human beings. Tell them what you want. Tell them what you can actually offer. Be audacious. Thank you so much for that session. So we want to see how apprenticeship actually works in the UK and outside of Nigeria, and I'll be bringing our speakers. We're having two speakers for this session. We've focused on apprenticeship inside, and we would be having, yes. So Iyi Olua, I don't know which one will go first, but we have Iyi Olua this song. Passionate apprenticeship advocates and degree apprentice graduates, completed digital and technology solutions professional degree at NatWest Group and BPP University, recognized for contributions to physical and online communities as an apprenticeship advocate. Then we also have Bolu Olawaye, award-winning degree apprentice graduates, bringing first-hand experience and industry recognition to apprentice, completed digital and technology solutions professional degree at Howden Group and University of East London. So right about now, I'll be handing over to our next speakers to take us on this session. Thank you.
All right, before they continue, I'd like you to know that Iola Adeson is the founder of Apprentis, and also due to his passion for apprenticeship and his advocate is given an award as the 2026 BTA UK Diversity Champion. These kind of things does not just come like that. These are things that this kind of awards are evidence of what you've been doing over time. It is not something that you can just wake up and do, right? So, we are handing over to you to give us the best moment of our life, just as Adelunke has actually did. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Nigeria. I hope you guys woke up very well. It's the weekend, so let's get excited. Let's get pumping. But literally, as they introduced us, I am the founder of Apprentis. Apprentice is an apprenticeship readiness platform that makes apprenticeships accessible to everyone everywhere. Part of what we do is ensuring that a lot of young people, especially those who get overlooked, don't have access to digital platforms that ensure that they're able to showcase their potential, tell their story. So we democratize access to apprenticeships by removing those invisible barriers that stops us talented individuals from lower socioeconomic backgrounds from getting a foot into the door or getting access into the working environment where we feel like we belong in. So my journey, as an apprentice, started in school, not knowing what was next. And I'm pretty sure a lot of young people as well who are also in that position where they don't know what they want to do, or they're not sure if the working environment is fit for them, or they're not even sure if going to university is the right pathway for them. So for me, I did work experience just to give me an idea of what industry I want to get into, if I want to be a theory-based learner or a practical-based learner, if university is fit for me. And even on top of that, I still faced financial barriers, with funding university programs, because here in the UK, I was seen as an international student. And also, I didn't have the best grades to even fit the entry requirements for university. So already, I was already facing these barriers. And for me, as Gen Z, like Eniola emphasized, I couldn't just settle for that. I couldn't just settle for, I don't have the necessary requirements that organizations or universities are looking for. So rather than settling for less, I decided just to do above and beyond. And basically, what I've learned is that you need to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. So you're not going to get where you want to get to by chance. It's not going to be easy to get there, especially when you're facing those barriers. Luck doesn't come to us easily. So we have to do above and beyond what everyone else is doing. So I secured work experiences, I secured internships, institutions, and I was in the city, and I got the drive of wanting to work in a city. I got the drive of wanting to work in an office, just to get my foot in. I did various boot camps. I invested heavily in myself. Professional development was key. Character development as well was key. And through those work experiences, I learned how to showcase my potential to hiring managers, to interviewers, to employers. And along the line, I heard of the word degree apprenticeship. We're going to dive into that further down the line. But essentially, you're basically earning and learning, and you're taking ownership of your career trajectory, your career pathway. So I heard of degree apprenticeships. Even applying, I struggled to apply, and I got a lot of rejections, and that's normal. Rejection doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean you're not fit for that particular role. It just means you have to make another attempt, and eventually you just get there. It's a test. Honestly speaking, it's a test, and you have to be disciplined enough to be able to pass that test. So I still kept going, and there were a lot of gaps. I didn't have the blueprints to finding a degree apprenticeship. No one I knew did a degree apprenticeship. No one I knew was balancing work, full-time and part-time university. It didn't exist, so I had to do a lot of trials and errors. And along the line, I found a financial organization called NatWest. And NatWest is one of the biggest Big Four banks here in the UK, nationally. So I got a foot, I got into NatWest as one of the first 10 apprentices or young people into their ventures, which is a aspect of the bank. So NatWest Ventures. And they were partnered with a university called BPP University, and I completed a degree apprenticeship, which lasted 4 years in digital and technology solutions professional. So it sounds very, very technical, but it is a modern way of framing it as IT or computer science. So that involved cybersecurity, network fundamentals, enterprise architecture, digital marketing, software development, maths for computing. So so it is very, very technical. And to be honest, I didn't have the technical skills beforehand. I didn't have the technical skills. I did a lot of side projects like photography, graphic designing, just to get some sort of money, some sort of cash. Because like I said, I couldn't settle for just for just being at home and not doing anything. So I had to get my foot into something. And then all the internships I got were not technical roles. They were more, clerk, admin roles, and that technical experience is not something I did. So what I'm trying to say is you don't have to have that technical skill. It can be something that you build those skills as you go. You learn as you earn. So you get that balance of the practical aspect and also the theory-based aspect as well. So lasted 4 years. At the end of that 4 years, I realized that I wanted to take ownership of my career trajectory. And that's where the solution for Apprentice really came into place. And it was birthed from lived experience. And as an IT professional, the best way to come across or to build a tangible solution that's impactful and drives value amongst people is to dive into a problem that you once faced. What gaps are you facing that other people are facing that they don't have the answers to? That's how you formalize a solution. So it was a lived experience turned into innovation, and that's how Apprentice was born.
That's perfect. So my name is Bolu Alawaye. First and foremost, I want to say a massive thank you for everybody joining the call today. We're extremely proud today. Yes, we're from the UK, but we're Nigerians at heart. And that is why this is so special for us to take the experience that we've learned and take our experiences to be able to share it, with our home, with our people, right? So my name is Bolu Alawaye, and I also done a degree apprenticeship. Now, very similar to E, my route there, it wasn't a smooth route. It wasn't a smooth transition. I was 18 years old, and, after 18 years old, the typical route is to go down to university. You go to university, you get your university degree, and you go into the working world, right? That's the career path that everybody knows. That's the career path that everybody is aspiring towards and aspiring to. No one really knows what you can do outside of that. And I was one of those people who didn't know what you can do outside of that. So I was 18 and I applied for university and I went down the traditional route. But sometimes you've got to realize just because something works for everybody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And it didn't work for me. So I went to university initially studying electrical engineering. And I was studying electrical engineering at Aston University, a university in Birmingham here in the UK. I'd done my first year, and then I'd done my second year. And then during my second year, this is when COVID happened, when lockdown was happening, allowed me to sit down and reflect on my career goals. What do I really want from this opportunity, and what do I want for my life? And the electrical engineering course and just the traditional system wasn't aligning with what was best for me. There's people in the world who are very, very good at their books. They're very, very good at studying. They're very, very good at passing exam. They're very, very good at, the traditional educational route. For me, I'm a practical learner. And there's people on this call right now that will resonate with that. Learning by doing, learning by actually taking action, learning by being put in difficult and tough situations and having to come out at the other end and looking back and saying, you know what, I'm better than I am before I took on that challenge. I'm one of those people. So the traditional route didn't fit me because sitting in a lecture hall and doing theory without the practical element, things just wasn't clicking in my brain. And the things that I wanted to learn, the things I wanted to do, I wanted to go out into the real world, earn a living, get real experience, and have that security of knowing, okay, I'm in an industry where I can actually perform and where I can actually excel. So because I wasn't getting all of that from the traditional university route, I decided to drop out of university. And telling my mother that I'm dropping out of university, to pursue something else, she wasn't happy with it. It was a very difficult conversation I had to have with my parents, telling them that I'm going to drop out, that I'm going to leave university. And what was the alternative? The alternative was a degree apprenticeship. Now, even in the UK, degree apprenticeships are not very common. Apprenticeships aren't very common. There's a lot of misconceptions about it that will demystify in today's session. But I was able to convince my parents to allow me to progress down my own path and to do a degree apprenticeship. And in that degree apprenticeship, that is where I started to study alongside my day-to-day role, digital and technology solutions. So again, like you basically said, a modern way of saying IT, computer science, it's a tech backed degree. And then alongside my apprenticeship, I started to work. And I was working at Howden Group Holdings, which is one of the biggest insurance brokers in the world. It's a UK-based company, a British-owned insurance broker. So we have a lot of insurance people on this call as well. So started working in the insurance industry, specifically in IT, doing a degree apprenticeship. Okay. And just a quick run at what Apprentice is as well. Apprentice is a tech platform where our mission is to make apprenticeships more accessible to everyone, everywhere. We're not just a tech platform. We don't just build technology, but we really are looking to redesign and create a shift in how apprenticeships are done, not just in the UK, but on a global level across the world.
Okay, so what does a day in the life of a finance apprentice actually look like? So this is me as a degree apprentice at NatWest. 8 a.m. the morning starts, market review. We do a team hurdle where we discuss the briefing for the day, where we discuss our targets for the day, and then a global insight as to what the global banking is working on, and how we can align with that as well for our customers or our stakeholders internally. And then we do some data entry, depending on the role that I've been assigned to for that week, then client accounts. And then I didn't really focus heavily on the finance aspect, only because I'm a technology individual in a financial sector. So I'm doing tech in finance. So my role doesn't really focus heavily on the financial aspect. Does that make sense? So and then we go on to then having a meeting with a senior team leader to review quarterly performance reports. And because I was specializing in IT, I had to pick a field in IT to specialize in. My field was IT consulting, and From IT consultant, I transitioned into a professional role in product as a digital journey manager. So automating business processes, using Jira to really debug bugs and to review those bugs as well, to assign those bugs to the right engineer to fix or to find a solution to. So essentially it's just ensuring that our customers have a seamless experience using our digital platform. And then in the afternoon, sometimes we get days where we focus on university. So let's say in a week, my Monday, I'd focus on study day. So to catch up on what I need to focus on for university. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would be the work. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll be in the office. I'll be at NatWest. I'll be doing my role here, as you can see the schedule. And then Friday will be dedicated to university lectures. So they've done it that kind of split where it's 80-20, where we spend Monday and Friday university focus. If we have any certifications that aligns with what we're learning at university, with what we're learning at work, I'll use Monday to focus on that. And then the rest would be like regulatory documentation, learning as I'm going from senior leaders. And most times, I'll have like a one-to-one session with my manager. I can't lie. To be honest, it's not even most times, every day, because they were very strict because they're investing in us. So they see us as assets. So they get a return on investment as well at the end of the day, right? So they're investing over 100K in us. So they have to ensure that we're actually doing the job, especially with the lack of technical experience that I had. And I didn't mind that. I was very honest with my strengths and weaknesses. So they understood that as well. So that pressure, that micromanagement is what got me to the stage today. If I didn't have that, God knows where I'd be. Oh, thank God. And then, so yeah, that's really where, that's what it looks like from a finance perspective.
I'll cover the insurance perspective and what the day-to-day looks like. And I also like to highlight, with apprenticeships, you can already see that apprenticeships aren't just trades. Apprenticeships, not just electricians or hair or X, Y, and Z. Apprenticeships are also a real route into professional spaces, right? And for an insurance apprentice, what the day-to-day will look like, right, is you have a list of clients, and this is from an insurance broker perspective, from a broking perspective. You have clients that you need to renew their insurance policies, right? So the job of the insurance broker is to go to the insurance market, speak to the multiple different insurers on behalf of the client so that you can get the best deal for your client at the best price. So you have to negotiate. There's a lot of negotiation involved. There's a lot of speaking to the client, a lot of really doing your due diligence on the client's business. So once I finished my apprenticeship, I actually moved across into the insurance side of Howden, and I became an insurance broker, where I worked in the asset management team. So we were working with asset management companies to place something called professional indemnity risk and directors and officers to basically protect the people of the board from any litigation, any claims made by investors that are not happy. So our job is to make sure that we speak to the clients, we understand that their business, we understand the risk in their business, we understand how their business is structured. So we had to really understand the different entities that they had across their group. And once we've done that, our job is to then create something called a submission. Now, a submission, you take everything you've learned from the client, and then you take it into, you put it into a summarized format, and you send it out to the insurance market. So I might have to send one risk out to maybe 5 different insurers. And that risk will contain all the information the insurers would need to make a decision on whether they want to write the risk and whether they want to take on the risk and insure the policy. So I have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And a lot of the role in terms of insurance and in insurance apprenticeship, you have to do a lot of communication. Insurance is a people-based industry, so you have to be able to be a good communicator. You need to be able to speak well, present yourself well, present the client's risk well. And then once you have got terms from the underwriters, you put it all together into a quotation pack, And this is basically going back to the client with all the terms and the conditions of the insurance policy, going back to the client with the cost of the insurance policy, and any questions and queries they may have, they will come back to you, and it's up to you to answer it. Now, the insurers will ask for maybe something called subjectivities, and you have to go again, be the middle person in between the client and the insurer. And then you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to really help them to be that middle person who communicates on behalf of both parties. And once all parties are happy, you agree to the policy and you get it signed and you get it bound, and then you close the policy, and you get the contract signed and the final details are sent out to the client. So that is the entire process, and day to day that will look like communication. Like I said, it will look like understanding the risks. It will look like going to meet the insurers at their offices, because again, you have to build those relationships, and that relationship is best done in person. So that is what a day in the life would potentially look like, and that is kind of a repeated process that you do for again and again and again for as many clients as possible.
Now, to move on to the day in the life in the tech as a tech apprentice, this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part, the tech aspect. Now, in the morning, like I said previously, daily stand-up, sharing the progress, sharing if we have any blockers. Blockers mean things that stop us from actually progressing as a team or as an individual talent. And then, I have a one-to-one with a manager before I get into the nitty-gritty, just as someone who didn't have the technical experience before joining the working environment. That level of help and that micromanagement is very, very helpful, especially when you identify your strengths and weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with asking for that. So we'll get into the deep works. For me, I did maths for computing. I made sure whatever I was learning at university aligned with the project I was working on at work. That's where that verbal communication comes into place. And that's you taking ownership of your career trajectory, because you understand yourself better than anyone else. And to be able to communicate that, it's not very effective as an apprentice, but this is what we do as a digital platform. So we get into the nitty-gritty, we get coding, features, some bugs in the sprints. So we do sprint reviews, and then I partner with a senior member to learn from him as well, and to also support my progression as well. Focus on university, like I said, balancing that practical aspect with the theory aspect. And then, it's a 9 to 5. We do a code review, and then we end the day with a demo. So demo is presenting the work that you've done. Let's say on a Friday at the end of the week, everyone comes together, and at least 2 people from each department has to present a demo. And that's really what it is. So what I would say is, don't be scared to ask questions in moments like this, because rooms like this matters. And, in tech, knowing how to ask for help, knowing how to ask better questions and listening deeply is as important as knowing how to code or knowing how to merge partnerships in insurance. Well, that's not my specialty, but it's part of the progress, part of the journey.
So we like to make our presentations and our webinars really interactive. So we'd also love to hear from you guys. Either drop in the chat, what feels like your biggest barrier to breaking into the workforce right now. Feel free to do so.
Common myths in apprenticeships. Let's really understand what apprenticeship really is. Because we understand that there in the market, in the African market in Nigeria, there is a misconception about apprenticeships. So let's sort it out now. Now is the perfect time to really expose you to apprenticeship awareness and to ensure that you have the right definition to apprenticeships and what apprenticeships involve. So common myths is, apprenticeships are only for trade jobs like plumbing or construction. That is false. Modern apprenticeships exist. The modern workforce deserves modern tools and modern resources and modern pathways, right? Times are changing, and all of these frameworks, all of these approaches also need to change and also need to adapt as well as you guys progress. And, modern apprenticeships exist in finance, like you've seen, in insurance, like you've also seen in technology. It also exists in law and in the legal world, in data science, in manufacturing, in engineering. All of those things, all of those sectors you can find on our website. We have an employers directory where all of the apprenticeship employers in each sectors you'll be able to find apprenticeships in. So another myth is you won't get a real degree or qualification. That is also false. So apprenticeships comes in different levels. We've got level 2, which is foundational level. We've got level 3, which is advanced level. We've got level 4, which is higher level. We've got level 5, which is also higher level. We've got level 6 and 7, which is a degree level. So you are able to get a degree and a qualification that employers will recognize and see as something that's credible and valid as well within the workforce. So degree apprenticeships award the exact same as university degrees as full-time students. And let me just let you know, the minute you enter the workforce, just because you're balancing university together with your full-time role, you're not going to be seen as university students, right? You're entering a high institution. They're paying you a large sum of money to do your job. So the minute you enter the workforce from day one, you're seen as a professional. You know, all of that, I'm a student, no, that stops the minute you enter the workforce. I didn't learn that. You know, it took me a long time to transition from like higher education straight into the working environment. It took me a year to really fully adapt. And it's not easy. You know, with the right support systems though, it will be easy. Another myth, last of all, is that it is a second-class route to those who cannot get into university. And I understand there in Nigeria, you know, the main alternative route to career success is internships. That works because that's what you guys are exposed to. That's what institutions provide for you. But there's also another pathway that you can also get to. Internships doesn't allow you to get a degree. Internships are common for graduates, not for people who are before graduates, or even, you know, you can't be a degree apprentice or an apprentice if you've graduated because you've already got a degree. What do you need another degree for? Let another person, you know, get invested in, that sort of thing. So they're often seen as more competitive here in the UK to Oxford than Oxbridge, University of Cambridge, University of Oxford, like top 3, you know, universities here in the UK, requiring high grades and work potential. So degree apprenticeships are a first-class pathway to career success.
Nice. Now let's actually talk about the comparison between internships versus apprenticeships, right? So what's the duration for an internship? An internship will typically last up to 12 months. So anywhere between a month and 12 months and a year, right? But if we look at an apprenticeship, well, my apprenticeship was 3 years. I believe EE's was 4 years. So you're looking about the 1 to 4 year mark for an apprenticeship. So you can see already, like with an apprenticeship, there's a longer time frame and longer time for you to really adapt and grow within the corporate and professional environment. Now, paid, money. We all like money, right? So there's also a misconception about apprenticeship pay and internships. You can get paid as an intern, but a lot of internships are actually unpaid as well. Whereas with an apprenticeship, they are always paid because you're a full-time employee at the business whilst you're also getting your qualifications, right? Then we move on to the qualification parts. As an internship, you are not going to get qualifications. Like you said just now, you're typically going to do an internship once you've already got a degree, if you're looking to break into the world of work full-time. Whereas as an apprentice, yes, you get a qualification. That is the whole concept of an apprenticeship. Not just working, but you're learning and you're working at the same time. So as an apprentice, you will get a qualification and can go up to what we call level 6, level 7 in the UK, which is basically just a degree. So you can get a full degree at the same time as working. Employment status, internship is temporary. It's a temporary placement. You're placed in the business temporarily, whereas an apprenticeship, you are a full employee. And the good thing about apprenticeships is if you do well in your apprenticeship, once your apprenticeship has been completed, you can stay on at the business, right? So both myself and E, when we finished our apprenticeship, we stayed at the business for an extended amount of time. So you're actually a full employee. So when your apprenticeship finishes, it doesn't necessarily mean you're just going to be kicked out of the door. If you do well, perform well, they're going to want to keep you because you're an asset to the business. So what's the outcome? The outcome of an internship is very good. You get that experience and can get that clarity. Now, you might do an internship and you might find that I love this business, I love this industry, I want to do more. Or you can find out, you know what, this is actually not for me. You've spent 1 to 12 months working out that this is not a space and environment that I want to be in, which is also a massive success because now you can refocus and go down a career path that suits you well. So I'm a big fan of that. But with an apprenticeship, you can also do that. With an apprenticeship, the outcome is you get the qualification, you get the experience, and you get the career track, right? So one of the biggest benefits for me personally for doing an apprenticeship is that I was able to kickstart my career. Despite the fact that I already had done 2 years at university and dropped out, by the time I was 20 years old and started my apprenticeship, I was still ahead of people my own age because I'd done an apprenticeship, because I still ended up with a degree, but I ended up with 3 years of work experience together at the same time. Whereas if I went down the traditional route, I would have to do 3 years of my degree, another 3 years of my work experience to even get the same amount of benefits and outcome of just doing an apprenticeship. So it fast-tracked my career. Are internships common in Africa? Yes, that's the model, right? That's the common route that you go down, an internship. Whereas an apprenticeship is very rare, but it is growing. And that's why we're on this call today. And that's why Apprentice does what it does. We're here to grow apprenticeships in Africa. First things first, we need to raise the awareness, and then we're going to be doing some work behind the scenes to see who we can speak to and collaborate with to make sure that apprenticeships are more accessible to everyone, everywhere. Well, this is Insure Africa. So a lot of you, again, have probably got some interest in insurance, and you want to know more about insurance, or maybe potentially had some experience or done some internships in insurance. I'm a big fan of the insurance industry. It is very, very good industry, very, very good business model. And it's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. The insurance industry wouldn't have been around for so long if it didn't make so much sense. But a lot of people don't actually realize that there's so many different avenues and so many different routes within insurance that you can actually go down. The biggest ones that you think of is maybe potentially an insurance broker or maybe an underwriter. But did you know that you don't just have to be an insurance broker and underwriter to work in insurance, right? So you have the front office where you have broking, which is the role that I was doing, where, like I just described earlier, you're negotiating, you're having conversations with clients and insurers, and you're the middleman between the two parties. Think of it almost like a personal shopper. You're a personal shopper for your client, getting the best policy that you possibly can, right? But there's also a load of different other roles that you can do. So within the back office, you have the underwriters. The underwriters are the people who actually take on the risk. The risk actually goes into the balance sheet. So basically, if somebody makes a claim, then the insurer will have to actually pay out the client. The broker doesn't do that. The underwriter does, right? So they take on the risk, but they also make more risk, more reward, right? So they are the ones making more money. Actuaries, I'm sure a lot of you maybe studied actuarial sciences. You're using the math and the data to model the risk and forecast the future. You're looking at the data, you're building models, you're trying to make predictions, and you're really trying to understand, how risky is this risk and what will it cost us in the worst case scenario. Claims handlers, you got claims. Undoubtedly in the insurance industry, if you have an insurance policy, some of those policies will actually put a claim forward, and they'll be looking to seek out the insurance policy to cover them for those claims. That's where you have the claims handler who manages the entire process. Again, working with the client, trying to understand the claim, then going to the insurance market and going to the insurer, speaking back and forth. Luckily, everything is documented and in a contract. So that claims handler is basically going to be working off that contract to see what you can and can't do. So the tech side, I love the tech side, tech within insurance, right? So my first role when I was an apprentice at Howden, I was working in tech, I was working in the IT team, and started working in networks and infrastructure, then I worked in project management. And these are the sort of roles that you don't really think of, right? When you say the word insurance. In insurance, there's so many different roles and they're diverse range. Whether you love data, whether you like people, or you enjoy technology, there's a place for you in insurance. There's so many things that you can actually get stuck in and involved in. You just have to do your research, and it's a very, very, very big industry with a lot of opportunity.
So resilience and storytelling, this is actually very, very key to skills for you to develop whilst trying to showcase your potential to employers, hiring managers, and interviewers, right? So, your background is an asset, not a liability. I guess that was one thing that we had to leverage in our story, right? To showcase to high institutions why we deserve to be you know, in the same rooms as your directors or executives at NatWest or Howden, right? So resilience, you know, breaking into the workforce is not linear. Rejection is just, like I said, it's not the end of the world. And in our case, we see it as data. You know, the people who break in are rarely the most talented. They're the people who are most disciplined and persistent, right? They know their strengths and their weaknesses, and they fill in those gaps. And, you know, knowing the terrain is how we navigate it, and persistence just finishes the race. So being unique is another key thing to understand or to attain. You know, don't try to water down your story or, you know, your journey, you know, to make you seem humble. You know, like, this is like, see this as, you know, this is your career, this is your future, you know. So it's like, show them like how hungry, how passionate you are, but do it in a way where it puts you, you know, as someone who is able to like turn up from day one and able to like do the job, right? So it's like, be specific, be very strategic, and take advantage of, you know, of your story. Your background is not what you overcome, it's what you have to offer, really and truly. I'm being so honest with you. This is me speaking to you, brothers and sisters. Telling your story, every interviewer is going to ask, why you? Why should we invest in you? Why do you want to join this company? The best answer is a clear story of where you've come from, where you are right now, what you're doing to develop yourself right now, and to end up with where you're going, and how the skills you developed aligns with their expectations. That's really how you can like make the perfect or craft the perfect story to showcase why they should invest in you, why you should be seen as an asset rather than a liability. So a key thing to like ask yourself to validate those questions within yourself. Like I said, you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not working on those skills or developing those skills, then you know, like, what's the point of even, you know, like joining the school in the first place? You know, joining the school, you're already in that motion. You already have that motion. You're already in progress to like getting that final outcome that you've been craving for. So what has my journey taught me that others wouldn't know? Second one to actually think about is what actions show how I think and what I value. And the third thing that you should ask yourself is, what do I want and why does it make sense? That's you being honest with yourself and putting yourself out there in a world full of opportunities that is just very competitive. And it's like, why you know, how you should stand out. We have a vast range of resources, readiness resources and readiness tools, specifically built for the apprenticeship journey. First, we have the Apprentice AI agents. You know, a lot of users who use our platform says that she is like a big sister. They're already giving it a label already. Can you imagine? She's like a big sister, a personal support system, a personal support tool. So in our case, you know, we get a lot of young people who use our platform, and you know, they don't tend to like get the support that they deserve in times that matters the most. So let's say someone has an interview tomorrow and they're practicing at midnight. Is your teacher going to be available at midnight to provide you that level of support? No. So, you know, this is that end-to-end support system we're able to provide in times that matters the most. So whilst you're burning the midnight oil, you can easily just call our apprentice, and, you know, and it will provide personalized guidance on applications, even interviews. You can do interview tests, interview preparations with it. You can also like ask for specific roles. You know, I saw Lawal ask the question here. You know, he asked the question in the chat. You can see in the chat. And, you know, it's something that you can just ask the AI agent as well. And it will give you answers like Iolua or Bolu answered. But I'll answer your question at the end of the QA session. And explaining your background as well. You know, we spoke about how to craft a perfect story. You know, it's something you can test with the AI agent. We have Apprentice Connect, which is like a safe community space for sharing opportunities. You can also get to interact with current apprentices from all industries, from all sectors. So we have something called the Founder Voices of Apprentice, where we have 6 apprenticeship advocates from different sectors, different apprenticeship level, providing that support to students. You know, so it's like they're also feeding back into the system, just like Bolo and I are. And we have something called Apprentice Learn. Now, Apprentice Learn is very, very good because we understand Gen Z like TikTok. So we use like the framing of TikTok to like shape how we're going to build Apprentice Learn. Apprentice Learn is like a apprenticeship success program. So you get bite-sized videos on common things like introduction to apprenticeships and the workplace skills. So understanding apprenticeships, understanding workplace culture and professionalism, and also how to land an apprenticeships from application to CVs, to interviews, to video assessments and handling rejection. Then go on to essential soft skills like communication, time management, problem solving, growth mindset, and confidence. Reason why you choose Apprentice Learn is because it's practical and it has a step-by-step module. You also gain real-world examples and exercises and build the skills that employers value the most. And for the next one is readiness test. So the readiness test allows you to understand your strengths and weaknesses. It allows you to understand how to fill in those gaps. And at the end of doing the readiness test, you get a scoring tier. Now, with those scoring tiers, you get a detailed next steps on how to fill in those gaps, right? And you also get access to apprentices to also support you. Now, we offer a free consultation as well with current apprentices from all sectors. Again, enabling that end-to-end support system so that you can take advantage of your career pathway. All of that is available in Apprentice Hub. If you go on our website, www.apprenticesap.com, all of those resources I've just highlighted are for free. We don't charge students because we understand what it's like to be in your shoes because we've been there before. And like I said, we're turning our lived experience into innovation. And that's part of, why we do what we do. So no more excuses after the call. I want to hear next steps. I want to hear progress. I want to hear your scores increase. The tools exist to help you get there. So make sure you utilize them to the best of your ability.
Nice. I think I just heard the timer go. We're going to go into a Q&A session. I'm going to open up to Adironke as well. But just before we do that, I also want to let you know that Apprentice, we have 3 internship opportunities available. This is a 3-month internship for you to be able to get some skills that you can put on your CV and you can use moving forward to really allow you and help you to get your next role. But the details for this is very, very simple. We have a post-assessment. So after this, you will receive, I think it's even in the chat. I think to even put it in the chat, there's a link. If you click on that link, you have a pre-assessment, an assessment for you to fill out. It takes 2-3 minutes, super quick. That helps us out as well, and some feedback on this webinar too. And then once you've completed that, on the results page, it will give you the full instructions and the full details and the full brief of the different opportunities that we have available for you to apply for in terms of the internship. And all you need to do to apply is decide which job role you want to apply for. Go to info@apprenticesap.co.uk, email us with the name of the job title in the subject, and you have 2 weeks, right? Deadline in 2 weeks, guys. So, there's a bit of time pressure here. So in 2 weeks' time, you'll hear back from us for everyone who's applied for the internship, and then we'll move on to the next stage, which will be interviews. So we have 3 opportunities, and we have 3 openings, 3 different roles. So yes, so wish you the best of luck for that as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you very much, guys. And then we're going to go into the general Q&A.
We'll be moving to the Q&A session for our apprentice team, Bolu and E. So I have 2 people already raised their hands before. I have Mike. So I'll be going first with Mike, then subsequently with Safe Cassie Travels. So Mike, are you on the call? Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Good morning. At the current spot of my life, I'm still having difficulties with, though I've decided that I want to go into the insurance. I stay in Nigeria. I'm currently working at an insurance, and I've actually worked at an insurance brokerage firm as well. In the line of me pursuing my insurance career, I'm also putting into take. There's this exam right in Nigeria, which is called CIIN, Chartered Institution, to pursue my insurance career. Considering the various options that people can dive into in insurance, what do you best suggest that, okay, this is more preferable for you to go into, considering my background. And in the insurance company I'm working, I'm in the admin department. The admin department is not really giving the in-depth knowledge that I want to acquire. So those posting up the question are, okay, what would you advise me to do?
Thank you for your question. First and foremost, I think it's obviously very, very personal because it depends on what you feel like your strengths are. I think there's many different routes you can go in the in the insurance space, right? But if you are more of a people person, if you have good interpersonal skills, if you have good networking skills, if you can present yourself well, then I would say a broking role would be quite good for you. You said you worked at a brokerage. Were you, Mike, a broker at that brokerage you worked at previously, or was that an admin role as well?
The position I held there was the marketing manager, so I was more like having to discuss with people about insurance while I was in the brokerage firm.
Okay, nice. So it sounds like you already got that experience working with people and speaking with people. So a focus potentially on the people side of insurance, which includes the broking role, which includes anything that's client facing. Alternatively, if you feel like actually I maybe prefer the analytical side and I like the numbers, I like the data, then I would also recommend that you look more into the underwriting side, you look more into the actuarial side, you look into the side where you're actually evaluating the risk and doing the calculations and looking at the data and then modeling off that based off that data. So it depends, it's personal preference, but I think first thing you need to do is understand what are my key strengths, right? And do I want to be on the client facing side, interacting with people, or do I want to be doing something where it's more analytical, where I'm really looking more at data, and I'm looking at risk from a more strategic perspective. Once you make that decision, then you can really decide what path to go down.
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for answering the question. I think I would allow you to take the question from Lawal somewhere from the group chat, please.
You go into the financial services and things become more applied, like data analysis in real environment, working with tools like Jira, Influence, and Service Desk, understanding financial services context, the risk, how decisions are made from data, how to interpret those data, how to influence this data in a real environment. And then you start getting closer to product work. So that's how I was able to work in different elements just based on finance and technology. So you learn things like user testing, usability testing, product analysis, and working in agile delivery teams. So, that's where you realize that finance is not just as much about systems and processes. It's also about numbers as well. Come on, it's finance, it's about numbers as well. So, from there, my work, I was able to translate all those skills that I've developed into the work I do today at Apprentice, and that pushed me further into product and system thinking. So things like CRM design, automation, AI, data-driven product development. And then on the soft skills side, my biggest one was communication. So honest to be, communication, being able to turn complex data into something clear and actionable for non-technical stakeholders. So, closely linked to that is stakeholder management. And, with that stakeholder management, especially working across business, products, technical teams, and aligning different priorities, right? So another skill was problem solving under pressure. Problem solving under pressure is not a joke. A lot of real world finance and tech problems aren't clearly defined. So being able to structure problems and figure things out step by step is very, very key. Documentation is very, very key. You also need to pay attention to detail, because small data and logic errors can have big financial and operational impacts, right? Not just for yourself as a talented individual, but also for the organization you're working in that depends on you as well. And the last thing would be you'd want to gain, I would say, business awareness and curiosity, right? So not just knowing what the data says, but understanding why it matters and how it influences decisions. So if you're a data analyst or an aspiring data analyst looking to like dive deeper into the tech side of finance, you already have the right track, Lawal. So, like you said, SQL, that's good. Learn Python as well. You'd want that. That's very powerful. Learning Python alongside SQL, get into the real technical side of the data side of finance. And then, start layering it, start building on the financial knowledge. So risk, products, P&L, and finally getting exposure to like product or platform teams where data actually drives meaningful change, value, and decisions.
Thank you very much. That was very well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you guys. I think due to our timing, right, because we don't want to bore you and we also want you to get along with your day. So we'll be taking 2 more questions, after which would have a closing speech from our co-founder, the co-founder of Insure Africa in person of Ayodeji Adebi. So is there any other person who wants to ask a question? So we can take this just 2 questions. So
I think Abigail has put a question in the chat. She said, since the end of the apprentice program, you'd also be awarded a university degree. So if you've already been to uni and have a degree, can you still take this? So this one is a bit of a subjective one. And it depends company to company. I know some companies will say no to that because they want to give opportunities to people who haven't done that. But for example, the business that I was at, Powden, there was a girl, she studied history, she had a history degree, and she was still able to do her apprenticeship in digital and technology solutions. So I say over here in the UK, that does depend company to company, but there's no law saying that you can't do 2 degrees, right? You can always have more than 1 degree. But some companies might say, oh, because you've already done a degree, like we would want to give opportunities to someone else who's not got a degree right now. So it varies. For those that were part of us today, I'm sure they want to tell those that were not here what they actually missed. So on this note, I'll be calling on the co-founder of Insure Africa, Ayodeji Adebi, to give us a 5-minute talk, and then we can all wrap it up and call it a day.
Yeah, thank you, Tunji. Hi, everyone. E and Bolu, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It's been an insightful session, and it's been an impactful one also. Personally, I've also learned a lot because I also have a teenager in-house who would also love to know something about the apprenticeship program, and she also joined. So yeah, so it's been an impactful session all along. Now, for the Nigerian market, so far, like I mentioned to you during one of our meetings, I mentioned that we've seen opportunities around apprenticeship. I've seen about 2 companies on LinkedIn who has been, they've been advertising apprenticeship programs, for people, and they haven't taken that advert away. So there's the likelihood that they haven't gotten people to apply for it, or possibly they haven't gotten the right candidates. So I think one of the things we need to do at Insure Africa, and also in partnership with apprentices, is to make sure that we create as much as we can in terms of awareness, in terms of also reaching out to the right institutions, in terms of also reaching out to, because we have links to most of these institutions, but we will be starting with our own institute first, which is the CIN Institute, and also NICOM, and also NIA. So NIA is more of I'll call it more of a link, for the insurers. So while CIN is for the students, the professionals, the entirety of the whole industry, while NICOM is the regulator. So those 3 key stakeholders will try as much as possible to key into them, reach out to them and talk to them, and see how some of these insurance companies can actually key into this opportunity. Trust me, for a place like the UK, or let me say Europe, for example, apprenticeship is kind of costly for companies. But one way or the other, most of these companies, they gain the benefit back at the end of the day. But also, for a place like Nigeria, the cost of education is not that expensive when it comes to the school fees. So a lot of companies can actually buy into this idea. So it's something that will kickstart the conversation. We'll make sure that we reach out to the right people and the right channels and get this conversation going for a positive result. And I'll also like to mention that for this opportunity that we are looking at, we will also, I mean, as much as this opportunity is coming up, our own app is also coming up, which will also be in partnership. Hopefully, if we're able to have good conversations with Apprentice, we'll have a link for the Apprentice app on our own app, so people can actually use that as a yardstick, you know, to actually learn everything around apprenticeship from zero level to expert level, you know, when it comes to. But one key thing that I keep telling our people on a daily basis, please, all our students, all our community members, professionals, colleagues, experts, in-house experts, please ensure that you learn Excel. Learn Excel as a course. I always tell people, look, Excel alone can take you to places. Just ordinary Excel. Forget SQL, forget Python. Just learn Excel. How to use data, how to narrate the data, how to, you know, bring data together, you know, make insightful meanings and insightful information around data and the likes. Learn Excel, please, is very, very important. I will keep saying this. I'll continue to say there are free courses. If you want me to give you the link, we'll put it in our WhatsApp group again, so people can actually apply for all those opportunities. Learn it on YouTube and keep learning, keep building yourself, keep developing yourself, and achieve better opportunities for yourself today and tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you. It's been an insightful session, as I said earlier, and we are grateful for the opportunity. For those who were unable to join us, it's not a miss. Trust me, it is not a miss. There are still opportunities that will come up later on. So please, thank you. Always ensure that you join our webinars so that you can actually have a full information as it comes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, AY, for that. So I would like to have a minute talk, closing talk from E, closing talk from Bolu, and then I wrap it up. Then we call it a day. Thank you, guys.
So, guys, thank you so much. Honestly, I really appreciate all of this. Like, this feeling is so rewarding to be able to have this conversation today, and to share our experiences. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And my DMs on LinkedIn always open. If you want to contact Apprentice, it's info@apprenticesap.co.uk. Drop us an email. Quick reminder as well, please fill out the post-session form. That will give you access to all those resources we were talking about. That will give you the instructions to apply for the internships. And yeah, so we want you to be part of our ecosystem as well, and have access to everything that we offer. Again, big thank you, everyone. And yeah, I'll pass it on to E.
Amazing. So I just want to say thanks to the host and Insure Africa for providing a platform that connects young people or potential to opportunities. I also want to say a massive thank you to Ahmad as well. Thank you for a well-structured delivery, and also a massive thank you to everyone who showed up, who turned up. It's Saturday. You could have done something actually very useful. You could have not even joined, but thanks for your time. Thanks for showing up. It shows how eager you are to learn. And here at Apprentice, most platforms help you find an apprenticeship. Apprentice ensures that you're ready for one. So we do the work that we do is very mission driven. It's going to be going on for a very long time, and we have introduced a new model, a new dimension to the current apprenticeship model. The current apprenticeship model is earn and learn. Our new dimension introduces the own model. So you've got the Leo, so you can learn, earn, and own, and it's built on a simple meaning. Where capability alone is not enough. It must be demonstrated, developed, and also repeatable within real workplace environments. So our partnership with Insure Africa, ensures that that, you know, we expose the African youth to be able to understand and, you know, to understand what's required from work-based learning systems. And, you know, this webinar is our first step into a wider research and design process focused on how capability, readiness, and progression is experienced across different labor markets. So, you know, we've made history here on Apprentice, and you've all witnessed Apprentice making that history. So thank you once again.
We'll be meeting on our various social media platforms, WhatsApp, Instagram, LinkedIn, for the conversation to continue going. See you guys, and have a great day ahead. Thank you guys. Bye. Cheers.